Hey everybody, this is my presentation on community security, the Vpso program. So a quick overview, what is a Vpso? Strengths and weaknesses of the program, root causes, Stebbins, Alaska, solutions to improve the current program, and the conclusion. So the Vpso program began in the late 70s as a means of providing rural Alaskan communities with needed public safety services at the local level. So this made it to where different small communities that didn't necessarily need to have state troopers still had representation to combat different crime that can take place, such as theft, sexual assault, any other type of misdemeanors or felonies. Vpsos are helpful in communities that are not able to employ tribal police officers due to financial reasons. Communities that have Vpsos are more likely to see crime rates reduced compared to those that do not. So some strengths and weaknesses, different strengths that the Vpso program has. Communities that have Vpsos have seen homicide rates reduce from 28 to 18 people per 1,000 people. Injury from felony assault reduced by 40%. Increased reporting of misdemeanor offenses. And Vpsos are cross-trained in community policing, fire protection, first aid, and search and rescue. On to the weaknesses. When a Vpso leaves their position, it takes time to fill the vacant position. This gap leaves a period of time with no one available to take care of the community. The new officer that comes in after a period of time will still have time to adjust to their new position. That includes being accepted by different people in that community and establishing their presence in said community. There are also limited opportunities to promote from a Vpso to a certified police officer, and it is hard to find people that are qualified to hold this position. There aren't a lot of restrictions on this position, but you still need to be able to pass things such as different background checks, don't have any felonies, don't have anything in your past that would prohibit you from being a law enforcement official. So root causes with the program: lack of funding, which includes regular continuing education, high turnover rates from low salaries and benefits, restricted duties, including not being able to investigate felonies without a state trooper oversight. This is kind of crazy to me because, unfortunately, the state trooper force is not very large. So if you have to wait for somebody to come out to assist you, we all know that the longer it takes to investigate something, the more likely it is that the case can turn cold. So I think that this is something that should be fixed. Lastly, the lack of training in areas such as sexual assault response. This lack of education can lead to being stagnant and kind of stuck in your job. I also found this interesting because Alaska has like the highest rate in the country of sexual assault and domestic violence. So it's a little, problematic that they aren't allowed to have the training in these areas. So I found this in my research and found it to be very interesting. There's a community called Stebbins. According to Vpso qualifications, a person who has a felony is prohibited from holding a position. In the community of Stebbins, Alaska, every person who is a cop has a criminal record, including the chief. All officers have a history of domestic violence charges. The 7-man police force has spent collectively 6 years in jails, prisons, and halfway houses. After the situation came to light, it was discovered that 14 separate communities had at least 34 people who did not meet requirements that an Alaska state trooper would need to qualify for the position. This is a little bit alarming. I think that it would almost be better not to have somebody be in that position instead of having somebody that has no business being in that position. How can you enforce a law whenever you yourself have broken it? This would also make it to where if somebody knows that you have this record, how are they going to feel comfortable coming to you? So why has this been allowed to happen? The unfortunate truth is that Stebbins and other communities are lacking interest in the position from qualified candidates. There is also lack of funding to be able to put qualified people in these positions, and it's my assumption that having people in the position helps limit the funding come to the community for safety. So if you have limited funds and you know you're not going to be getting paid, unfortunately, it's still going to be a job. So even if you really enjoy what you do, you still need to have compensation for that. People aren't going to work for free. And basically right now, that's what is happening if you look at some of the wages that the VPSOs are being paid. Regardless, this situation should shed a light on how dire this whole situation is, and that the lack of rules and regulations can lead to more problems than solutions. That's why there's guidelines. That's why there's restrictions. I think that this community and the people that put these basically criminals into a position of authority should definitely be investigated. I'm not sure now if that is still the case, if these people still hold a officer type position, but if they do, it should definitely be investigated, and there should be different safeguards in place to where this won't happen again. So solutions to improve the current VPSO program: increase funding from the state to find qualified applicants to fill positions. This can be a little hard. As we know, the state budget doesn't always allow for different things, but when it comes to public safety, this is very important. Just because somebody lives in a very rural community doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the same type of protections that people in more urban areas have. While education can be expensive, I think that if you designate a person that is their specific job is to go around and educate people, it would make a lot more sense financially, instead of bringing everybody to one location to train. If you had somebody visit other locations, this could help to both save money and to ensure continuing education. Once there is a designated person, they could travel around to the different communities and hold town halls with the community itself. Not saying that they would be able to have the same types of privileges that a VPSO or a trooper would have, but just basic knowledge on what to look for. Because of the high turnover, there's always going to be a lack of people in these positions. So at least if the different individuals of the community knew what to look for, knew how to report it, and knew kind of how to take care of it themselves, this might help whenever there are times that there is the transition period between someone who left their job and somebody that is coming in. This could help to educate everyone and make the lack of VPSOs less dangerous, as everyone would have some training. So in conclusion, the Vpso program is a great program that has had great results, but it's still lacking in important areas. By increasing funding, qualified applicants can fill positions around the state to ensure safety in the communities. By educating not only the officers, but other community members, having a gap between officers could be less damaging. Here's a couple of references, and I hope that everyone has a great day. Thank you.